A couple weeks ago, I made a video about as soon as and until, but unfortunately, that video had no sound. So I'm going to be making that video again today, talking about this grammar we saw in Ventures Unit 5, I believe Lesson B, and how we use the words until and as soon as, what they mean, and how they are different. Okay, so let's get started. So like I said, this grammar was in Unit 5, Lesson B. Until and as soon as, we use both of those with time clauses. And now time clauses have two characteristics. First, they are dependent. This means that they need another part of the sentence to finish them. It cannot be alone. A little reminder about what a clause is. A clause is just one piece of a sentence, and usually a clause has a subject, like a person, a place, thing. Most often nouns are subjects, so I, he, she, it. And usually a clause also has a verb, an action or a state of being. So dependent means it cannot be alone. I cannot say, until I go what? It needs more information to finish it. This is different than an independent clause. Independent clauses can be sentences. They can be alone. I like pizza. I don't need any more information. That can be a sentence on its own. Time clauses are also movable. Many times we can put them at the beginning of a sentence, or we can put them in the second part, to the middle, to the end. So, for example, I work until 6 o'clock. Until 6 o'clock is the time clause. I can move that to be the beginning. Until 6 o'clock, I work, or I am working. So they can move around. So let's look at some examples of that with both. Hold on, trying to move my picture. Okay, let's look at some examples of that with both as soon as and until. So there we go. Okay, as soon as. Let's look at the beginning of a sentence. As soon as I wake up, I have to drink a cup of coffee. When we have that time clause with as soon as at the beginning of a sentence, we need to have a comma in the middle. As soon as I wake up, second part, I have to drink a cup of coffee. But we can also switch those, okay? I have to drink a cup of coffee as soon as I wake up. So that clause can go at the beginning, or it can go in the second half of the sentence. Until. We usually don't use until at the beginning of sentences unless it's answering a question. So in the example I used before, I work until 6 o'clock. If someone asked me, oh, when do you stop work? Or how long do you work? I could answer until 6 o'clock. That's the short answer. Many times when we answer a question, we don't give a long answer. Do you like pizza? We usually don't say, yes, I like pizza. We usually just say, yes. So with until at the beginning of a sentence, it's more common to see until in the middle of a sentence, unless it's answering a question with a short answer. Until April 30th, we have to stay home because of COVID-19, the coronavirus. We are all right now working, or most of us are working at home, sheltering in place. So we can move that until to the second part of the sentence, to the middle or the end of the sentence, we have to stay home until April 30th. So that's how we see them in a sentence. Let's talk about what does as soon as and until mean. So we use until when we are talking about when an ongoing, an active action stops or ends. So the example I used earlier, I work until 6 most days. This is a present simple everyday example. So I work until 6. 6 is when I stop. 6 is when my working ends. I'm not working after that, I hope. So I work until 6. 6 is the stop most days. So this is an example of how we would use it with present simple or simple present for that everyday, all the time, habits, ongoing things. Let's look at how we would use it with the past. So in the past, I didn't live in Chicago. I lived in Oregon. So how long did I live in Oregon? I lived, see the past tense? I lived in Oregon until 2014. So 2015, 2016, no, I'm not in Oregon anymore. So we can also use this in the past to talk about an action or something in the past and when it stopped in the past. Let's look at how we could talk about it using with the future. Okay. Sometimes this is a very romantic example using will. We could also use present continuous with I am going to. I am going. That am is R-I-N-G. I will love you until the day I die. Because after that, you're dead. But I will love until the day I die. The day I die, the love stops because the life stops. So that's an example using the will for future. Okay, what about as soon as? When do we use as soon as? We use as soon as to talk about something that comes after an event or a time. Okay, so the as soon as is like an action, and then what happens after that action? Okay, so let's look at this example in present simple or simple present. As soon as class is over, so when class is over, what do the students do after that? Okay, as soon as class is over, the students go home. Okay, the students don't go home before class is over. The students don't go home and then come back to class in the same day. So what happens is the action or the event is class being over, and then students go home after that. Let's look at a past example. So this is for, again, for something in the past. With this example sentence, as soon as is in the second part of the sentence. It's not at the beginning, okay? Again, those time clauses, they can move around. The car stopped as soon as it ran out of gas. So the car stopped. Why did the car stop? It ran out of gas. Okay? Car going, out of gas. What happens after that? The car stops. And we see that ED, the simple past here. Let's look at future. So here I used present continuous. So we can use present continuous that am, is, or are, and then verb ing to talk about the future and right now. So let's look at this example with future. As soon as it's summer. So summer, what are we going to do when after summer starts? I am going to the beach. I'm going to the beach. Oh, as soon as it's summer, going to the beach. Okay? So here we see that as soon as is at the beginning. I could also switch that. I'm going to the beach as soon as it's summer. Both sentences are good. Both make sense. Time clauses, most of the time, can move and you still understand them. So let's move myself again. Let's do some practice. I want you to think about how you would answer these until questions. So let's look at an example. Usually questions with until will start with how long, because until is talking about the time something ends. So for example, how long did World War II last? Oh, it started in 1939 and went until 1945. So it lasted about 6 years. So that question answered with until. We can also use until in the question. So let's look here. How long until we can go back to the building for school and work? So how long until we can go back? So how long until we can go back? Well, right now they say April 30th, so about 2 weeks, a little bit more. What time? So we could also use what, give the name of the time, using until. What time do you usually work until? I usually work until 6. It's when I stop. What time do you usually work until? If you're working on your homework or doing housework. How late are you staying up today? A different way to answer or ask this question. What time are you going to sleep? Okay, how late are you staying up today? I'm staying up until about 11? I'm not sure. What about you? How long until your next birthday? My next birthday is in January, so 9 months? 8, 9 months? How long until your next birthday? How long until you are eligible to apply for US citizenship? So you must be in the country for 5 years to be able to apply to become a citizen. So if you have been in the United States for 1 year, you have 4 more years until you can be a citizen or you can apply to be a citizen. This is something you'll hear kids say when you're driving in the car or you're traveling. How long until we get there? They want to know when the car ride will be finished, when you will get to the place you're going. How long until the cake is done? If you're cooking something, how long until the cooking is finished? So do some practice with until. As soon as practice. An example, when do you eat dinner? I eat as soon as it's finished cooking. So cook, as soon as finished, I eat. I eat after it's finished. Okay? So this was a question asking when. When questions you can answer with as soon as. What questions we usually use when as soon as is in the question. So let's look at the example here. What do you do as soon as you close your door? So me, if I'm leaving my apartment, as soon as I close my door, I lock it. What do you do? So let's look at these two when questions. I want you to think about an answer with as soon as. When will you turn off your alarm clock? As soon as. When will you turn off your alarm clock? As soon as something. When will you turn in your homework? As soon as. I'm not going to give you an answer. I want you to think about it. Okay? Let's look at these what questions. These questions, I put as soon as in the question. What do you do as soon as you hear an ambulance or police car siren? So me, as soon as I hear an ambulance or a police car siren, so I hear it, what do you do after? What will you do as soon as the stay-at-home order is lifted? So when we can go outside again, what will you do? What did you do as soon as you found out you were pregnant or your partner, your spouse was pregnant, if you have children? So you find out, oh, I'm pregnant. Did you call your mom? Did you call your friends? Did you cry? Did you maybe feel nervous or happy? What did you do? Last question. What do you do? So what did you do? Past. See, we can use it different times. What do you do as soon as you get paid or your spouse gets paid? If your husband or wife or partner is the person in your house who has a job, what do you do as soon as you get the money? Oh, I get the money. What do you do after? So I hope these questions help you. I hope this information helps you to understand what until and as soon as are, what they mean, and a little bit how to use them. And I hope you can hear this video. So have a great day.